Golf's a great game because it tests your character. How are you going to deal with success or failure? Are you going to be honest? Do you have the perseverance to deal with things that don't go your way? Success, there's so many different things that go into it, but the biggest things, number one, is hard work. You just can't get around it. You have to work hard to be successful. I know the best players go in each week thinking they're going to win. And unless you have that same attitude, you can't compete with them. You really need to learn to trust in your own swing, to trust in your game, to believe that you can do it, and then to work hard to achieve that. Hi, I'm Tom Lehman. In the game of golf, you can't walk on the golf course and expect to play like a pro. You've got to practice. When you practice, you've got to work on the 5 critical areas of the game: driving, approach shots, putting, chipping, and bunker play. You've probably heard the term drive for show and putt for dough. Well, I've always felt like you drive for dough and putt for dough both, because if you don't put the ball in play off the tee, there's no way you're going to be able to putt for birdie at the end or for par. There's a couple things you need to do. You really want to be able to hit the ball long and straight off the tee. What I do is really very simple. I make sure the ball is in the right position with my stance, and I make sure that I don't move my spine throughout the swing. Ball position is very important because there's some points in your swing where the swing is still coming down on a descending blow. So if the ball is too far back in your stance, the club is going to be moving too much on a descending angle into the ball, which creates fat shots, popped up shots, or shots that balloon up in the air. If the ball is too far forward in your stance, you're hitting too much up on the ball. You hit a lot of tops, a lot of thin shots that go to the right. You want to have the ball in a spot in your stance where the club is moving level to the ground in type of a sweeping type motion through the ball. So I put it right off my left heel. That point of my swing is where the club is coming through at the most level point. The other thing is your spine. Okay, but balance is important. That comes to keeping your spine steady throughout the swing. You want to be able to turn back and turn through and keep your spine steady throughout the entire swing. What I see way too often with amateur golfers are people who move their spine laterally this way or up and down this way. What that causes is excess motion, which causes bad shots. What I try to do is keep the spine steady and make a good turn on the backswing with my shoulders and a good finish on the way through. The whole time, my spine keeps constant. Let me show you. Ball's positioned off the left foot in the flat spot of my swing. The spine remains steady. If you can do those two things, you'll hit it longer and straighter. Negative talk is what kills you. And letting the negative things creep in, like, oh, I don't know I can do this, I can't do this, I can't hit the shot. I've got a bad lie, what am I going to do now? Whereas looking at things positive, like, well, it's a 175-yard shot with a 6-iron. I've done it before a bunch of times, so even though there's a lot of pressure right now, I know I can do it again. Once they've driven the ball in the fairway, the next thing is to consistently hit the ball onto the green with their approach shots. That's why iron play is so important. What we're after here is accuracy, precision and accuracy. It doesn't do you any good at all to hit a 7 or 175 yards if you don't know where it's going to go. So what we're after is a controlled swing that produces good results time after time after time. Like the driver, keeping your spine steady and keeping a good balance is essential with your iron play. But there are a few things that I do differently with my irons than I would with my driver. Number one being ball position. With the driver, I set up with the ball inside my left heel. With the irons, I'm going to put it back in my stance towards the middle to ensure a slightly downward descending blow. That way I can hit the ball first every time and get a solid hit every time. Consistency is what we're looking for. The second thing is grip pressure. Too often, players hold the club way too tight. Their muscles start aching and their veins start popping. They're just bulging because they're squeezing the club so tight. Well, you know what? You've got to be able to hold the club so lightly that you can almost pull it out of your hands, but tight enough so you can control where it's going. So you want to feel a nice, relaxed, loose grip. And what that does is produce a nice, relaxed, loose swing. With the irons, again, since we're looking for accuracy, it's looking for an 80% effort. Not 100%, not half 50%, but a 75, 80% swing effort. The last thing I think, is the finish, and that's going to be the most important. If you're watching a baseball pitcher pitch, you never ever see a pitcher take the ball and throw like that across his body. It's always finishing at the target. The same thing with the golf swing. As you finish your swing, you want your belt buckle to be finishing at the target all the way through to the finish. That ensures a good path of the swing through the ball and accuracy as a result. So, in review, ball position is important towards the middle of your stance. 80% swing, light grip pressure, and finish at the target. Once you get to the level that I'm at, most everybody can get the ball from A to B. But getting it in the hole is really what separates the guys who win from the guys who finish second, third, and fourth, and on down. When I talk about short putts, I'm talking about anything inside of 5 feet. And on anything inside of 5 feet, generally speaking, I'm going to play the ball inside the hole and try to hit it pretty firm. There are occasions, of course, where you need to play more break, but when you've got a 3-footer and a 4-footer, that ball's not going to break a whole lot. So I pick a spot out, either left center, right center, straight in, or maybe inside the edges, but I pick out a spot on the cup that I aim my putter at, and I just think about stroking the blade right at that thing, keeping a smooth stroke, but hitting the ball into the back of the hole. But the short putt, again, is almost entirely line. I aim the putter blade at the spot in the hole where I want the ball to start, and then just stroke it right at it. I'm a pretty good short putter, and I've missed very few of those with that, so I think it'll work for you too. When I get middle length putts or longer putts, the last thing I want to do is 3-putt. And so speed becomes very important. You need to realize that the line that you hit the putt on depends upon the speed that you want to hit it. And I want to hit my putts from 15 feet and further out so that they die right around the hole. I see an imaginary 2-foot circle around the hole that if I can get inside of there, I'm happy. So when I look at a putt, I'm thinking almost entirely of speed. How hard do I need to hit it to get it within that 2-foot circle? And then I pick my line afterwards. So when I'm putting long putts, I feel the speed, then I pick the line that matches that speed. And that's acceptable. So often with good chipping, you can hit all kinds of bad shots, but if you can chip well, you save yourself a lot of problems and a lot of shots. And so I would encourage everybody, no matter if you're a 30 handicapper or a scratch player, to spend twice as much time putting and chipping as you do on the driving range, hitting balls. You're in the rough, you've got a bunker between you and the hole and not much green to work with. What are you going to do? I take my sand wedge and I hit the lob shot. And the lob shot is great because the ball will go real high, it'll land real soft, it won't roll very far, and you can get it close to a pin that's tucked real tight. Now there's a few things you have to do to hit that shot. Instead of setting up square to a normal shot with the club face square and the stance square, I'm going to open up the blade. So I open the blade real wide this way, so it's aiming to the right. Then I open my stance, so I'm aiming to the left. And then I swing along the path of my feet. By opening the club face, you're adding loft. By aiming left, you're correcting for that added loft. Now, the one thing that I feel when I hit the shot is I feel like I'm throwing a ball underhanded towards a target. So I take a ball like this, if I just go, that's the feel I get hitting a lob shot. I want the blade of the club, as I swing through the ball, to stay pointing in the air. Instead of letting the toe of the club roll over this way on a normal shot, you keep the toe down and the club face pointing towards the sky. So when I hit this shot, I open the club face, open my stance, and I keep the club face pointing towards the sky. You can save a lot of shots doing that. you just can't afford to get angry at yourself on the golf course. And after breaking the club over your knee and slamming the club and losing shots on the course because you've gotten mad enough times, you realize you just can't afford to do that anymore, and so eventually you tone it down. Likewise, when things are going great, if you get too excited and too amped and too hyped up, you play poorly, and so you'll learn to kind of just, kind of tone down the highs too. So the end result is that you become much more of a under control person. Most golfers are afraid of the bunker. They hit the ball in the bunker and they think, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? And more often than not, they leave the ball either in the bunker or they scull it somewhere over the green. I'm going to tell you right now that the bunker shot should be one of the easiest shots that you have to hit because the margin for error is a lot greater. You're actually hitting about 2 inches behind the ball, and that cushion of sand that you hit is taking the ball out of the bunker. And so the margin for error is a lot greater than for a normal shot. You can hit maybe 1.5 inches or 2.5 inches behind the ball, and you can still get it out. And so you shouldn't be afraid of the bunker shot if you just do a few things that I'm going to show you right now. The most common mistake I see is a golfer just decelerating and leaving the club in the sand behind the ball, and the ball goes about 3 feet, kind of like this. Have you seen that before? The next one is a golfer who tries to help the ball out of the sand, they end up sculling it. That's familiar too, isn't it? What you want to do is you want to hit the ball about 2 inches behind the ball, hit the sand behind the ball, and let that cushion of sand carry it onto the green, but you need to make sure you accelerate smooth and long, extend, and finish the swing. Kind of like this. In order to be a good golfer, you need to practice. And you can't just practice haphazardly. You need to have a purpose to your practice. You need to practice properly. You need to really work on the things that matter. So practice hard, practice the right things, and practice it in the right amounts. When it's all said and done, I definitely want to be a great player. I want to be recognized as being a great player, but more than that, I think it's more important to be a great person. You need to have character and integrity. I want to be a person who has done the right thing and who hasn't ever put his career or things that really don't matter in the big picture ahead of people and things that do matter.